viewers, you're watching GW News Recap. I'm your anchor Azan Jamir, bringing to you the top stories of the week. Let's have a look at the stories that made it to the headlines. Yongang-led NSCNK has claimed that its Naga Army Tactical Unit carried out an attack on 10th Assam Rifles construction team on the Namkhoi Bangsao Road in Arunachal Pradesh. The Union Ministry of Home Affairs has extended the disturbed area status under Section 3 of the Armed Forces Special Powers Act 1958 in parts of Nagaland for a further 6 months with effect from April 1st. The government slashed special additional excise duties for petrol and diesel by Rs 10 per litre each, bringing the center imposed taxes down to Rs 3 per litre of petrol and making it to zero for diesel. Former Nepal Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli has been arrested over his alleged involvement in last year's deadly Gen Z protests a day after Palendra Shah took oath as a new Prime Minister. And now the news in details. Yongang-led NSCNK has claimed that its Naga Army Tactical Unit carried out an attack on a 10th Assam Rifles construction team on the Namkhoi Bangsao Road in Arunachal Pradesh on March 26 evening around 5:30 p.m., claiming that 3 personnel were killed on the spot. In a statement issued to the media through its MIP, the group said the attack was in response to what it termed as unlawful fence construction by India along the border, despite opposition from Nagas on both sides. It alleged that the construction was continuing despite protests and described it as a violation of international and humanitarian laws. MIB further asserted that the fencing project would not serve any purpose and would instead provoke further resistance while reiterating its opposition to the move. The group also stated that it would continue to defend dignity, homeland and freedom and express support for its cadres involved in the incident. Meanwhile, security officials, while confirming the incident, refuted claims that 3 personnel had been killed. The Union Ministry of Home Affairs has extended the disturbed area status under Section 3 of the Armed Forces Special Powers Act 1958 in parts of Nagaland for a further 6 months with effect from April 1st. According to a notification published in the Gazette of India Extraordinary on March 23, 9 districts and 21 police station jurisdictions across 5 other districts have been declared disturbed following a review of the prevailing law and order situation in the state. The district placed entirely under the disturbed area category are Timapur, Newland, Chumukitima, Mon, Kifari, Noklak, Pek, Peren and Milori. While the disturbed area tag has been applied partially across 5 districts covering 21 police stations. In Kohima district, this includes Kuzama, Kohima North, Kohima South, Zibza and Kesoja police station. In Mokokchung, Mangkulamba, Mokokchung 1, Longtu, Tuli, Longchem and Anaki CBS have been declared disturbed. In Zanaputo district, the notified police stations are Katashi, Bokopoto, Sataka, Surohoto, Zanaputo and Aknato, while Pandari, Champang and Ralan police stations are covered in Boka. In Longling district, Yanglok police station has been included under AFSPA. With the latest notification, only 3 districts in Nagaland, Shamator, Twinsang and Temanu remain entirely outside the disturbed area designation, the same status as the previous extension in September 2025. These areas are declared as disturbed area under Section 3 of the Armed Forces Special Powers Act 1958 for a period of 6 months with effect from April 1st, 2026 unless withdrawn earlier, the notification stated. The government slashed special additional excise duties for petrol and diesel by Rs 10 per litre each, bringing the center imposed taxes down to Rs 3 per litre of petrol and making it zero for diesel. However, industry sources say the reduction is unlikely to translate into lower prices at fuel stations for most consumers, as the cut will largely be absorbed by oil marketing companies to offset heavy losses on pump sales. OMCs are currently losing Rs 48.8 per litre of petrol or diesel sold in large part due to the surge in Brent crude prices. The global benchmark crossed $100 per barrel red line after the US-Israel war on Iran and the Strait of Hormuz blockade. However, the government has stressed that there is no immediate danger. The government reiterated its position and said India had about 60 days of oil stock cover and 30 days of LPG cylinder supply. Reports of shortages were slammed as a deliberate misinformation campaign to trigger panic buying. Former Nepal Prime Minister KB Sharma Oli has been arrested over his alleged involvement in the last year's deadly Chanzi protests a day after Balendra Shah took oath as a new Prime Minister. Oli was taken into custody from his residence in Kundu, Paktabur by the Nepal police. Along with Oli, his former Home Minister Ramesh Lekhak was also arrested. It must be reminded that over 70, including at least 19 young people, were killed in the anti-corruption youth uprising on September 8 and 9 last year, which began over a brief social media ban, but it tapped into long-standing fury over economic hardship. The unrest spread nationwide the following day as parliament and government offices were set ablaze, resulting in the KB Oli's government collapse. Nepal's first female Chief Justice, Sushila Karki, hadn't led the Nepal interim government for a period of time before Balendra Shah was elected. Shortly after rapper-turned-politician Balendra Shah won the recently held Nepal parliamentary elections, a panel was formed to investigate the violence during the anti-corruption protests. The first cabinet meeting of the newly formed government in Nepal, chaired by Balendra Shah, had decided to immediately implement a report of the high-level commission's investigation, which had recommended a maximum of 10 years imprisonment for those responsible, including Oli and Lekhak, for negligence during the uprising, despite being in high positions. 3 journalists were killed on Saturday when an Israeli airstrike targeted a vehicle they were traveling in near the city of Jezain in southern Lebanon. The deceased include Al Manar TV correspondent Ali Shuaib, Al Mayadin correspondent Fatima Fadauni, and a cameraman. Lebanese President Joseph Aoun said the attack constitutes a blatant crime that violates all norms and called on international bodies to take action. Prime Minister Nawaf Salam also condemned the attack, urging respect for international law. Information Minister Paul Morcos said that Lebanon is preparing to file a complaint with the UN Security Council over the attack. Since dawn on Saturday, Israel launched airstrikes and artillery attacks on 42 towns, cities and areas in Lebanon, most of them in the south. The Israeli offensive against Lebanon, which began on March 2, has resulted in 1,142 deaths and 3,315 injuries, according to the latest figures from the Lebanese Health Ministry. The number of people killed when a Colombian military plane crashed after takeoff in the country's south has risen to at least 69, with 57 others wounded, authorities say. The Lockheed Martin-built C-130 Hercules aircraft with 126 people on board went down on Monday shortly after it had departed from Puerto near the southern border with Ecuador and Peru, strewing burning wreckage onto the jungle floor. The military said in a statement that the wounded had been transported to several hospitals and the remains of the deceased were sent for identification by forensic officials in the capital, Bogotá, before being returned to family members. President Gustavo Petro blamed his predecessor, Ivan Duque, for having accepted a junk plane from the United States, saying the crash raised questions about the quality of material being sent to the country's military by Washington. The Hercules C-130 was donated to Colombia by the U.S. in 2020 through a cooperation agreement between the two countries. Colombia acquired its first C-130 Hercules in the late 1960s and has more recently modernized some older C-130s with newer models sent from the U.S. Last month, another C-130 belonging to the Bolivian Air Force crashed in the city of El Alto, barely missing a residential building. More than 20 people were killed in that crash and 30 were injured. Well, that's it for this week's news recap, and for more news like this, you stay connected to Global Window.